Howdy folks, welcome back to Kdog Goes to the Movies. Taking a look at some of my personal childhood favorites, movies I grew up watching, and just, that has the movies that I have some fond memories by. What a crazy year 2020 has been, and right now we're in the midst of an election going on. We've got this COVID going on. What the heck? We are so divided as a nation about, what's going on and who's voting for who, and I don't want that person in office, I don't want this person around, and blah blah blah. Should we wear a mask? Should we not wear a mask? It's all the world is falling apart. The world is going to pieces. And it's just crazy what's going on right now. And we are so divided as a world-class society that we don't know what to do. Really, to be honest with you. And I thought this movie that I'm going to show, long childhood favorite, I wanted to show this for quite some time. And this was a movie I grew up watching, and me and my brother, we loved watching this movie. When it came out on home video, we never did get to see it in the theater, but when it came out on home video, we wore the tape out. Because it was just so innocent, and yet there's things in there that are about being divisive. Well, you have, when you're 8 or 9 years old, what's going on? No girls are to be allowed in your life. And so we have the Battle of the Sexes, Child's Edition, or Children Edition, with 1994's The Little Rascals. Yeah, the no girls are allowed scenario. Yeah, this movie came out in 1994, and a lot of us kids who were part of that generation, we easily related to the whole situation. I myself was 9. Or no, I was about to turn 10. Yeah, I was about to turn 10 when the movie came out. And so, the group of kids that's in this film were about my age, maybe a little bit younger by a year or two. But I'm in the same age group as these kids on screen. They're now adults and parents, and if you go look up, there's a YouTube video that shows the Little Rascals 20 years later, and it shows the cast from this film all grown up and what their lives are like. Another thing about this movie is that it is cameos galore. Speaking of presidential election, our current president makes a cameo in this film. And my phone's ringing. Probably Donald Trump wanting to call anyway. But, yeah. Tonight's film is Little Rascals. Please silence your cell phones like I had just done. And grab your snacks, don the lights, and we'll take a look at this classic from 1994. Almost said 1984. From 1994, it's The Little Rascals, released by Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment. So, roll film.
Throughout history, men have formed secret societies based upon loyalty, fraternity, and one unbreakable rule.
No girls allowed.
Now, one such institution
We're heathen woman haters.
is in serious jeopardy.
You are so beautiful. No.
The Little Rascals. Universal Pictures and Amblin Entertainment invite you to meet Alfalfa,
Bigger, oh, bigger, oh.
Spanky,
Let her in. Whoa.
Darla,
You have the sophistication, a lady, of a woman of 12.
Buckwheat,
Quick, what's the number for 911?
Froggy,
What's the high sign? Wrong sign, Porky.
Stymie,
If you were my kids, I'd punish you.
If we were your kids, we could punish ourselves.
and Petey. These kids have their differences, but when love is in the air,
This is a song about a tragic romance. I'm gonna put that fool out of his misery.
they all have what it takes to be little rascals. From the director of Wayne's World and the Beverly Hillbillies, the Little Rascals.
Alfalfa, this is a side of you I never seen before. Sounds good to me.
So that was the Little Rascals from 1994, and man, that was a product of the 90s, and it was obviously a film that I grew up watching ever since it came out on video. I didn't get to see it in the theater, unfortunately, because there was a lot of movies that came out that year, of 1994. That was the year of The Lion King, and so there were so many films coming out, particularly kids movies, that were just bombarding the cinema that year. The Little Rascals was one of them, and unfortunately, I read up on what the critics had to say about the film. They didn't take too kindly to it. It was mixed to negative reviews. As a matter of fact, most of the critics on Rotten Tomatoes, it was given like I think 37%. In terms of what the critics thought, but the audience gave it a 70%, because the audiences and critics don't always agree. And one of the things I remembered specifically about this film is that there was a lot of cameos in this movie, and I'm trying to think of most of them. You have the Olsen twins, while they were doing Full House, makes an appearance in this film. They just turn around, look at the camera, and say, "Are you sure?" And Donald Trump playing Waldo's dad, Whoopi Goldberg playing Buckwheat's mom, Reba McEntire is A.J. Ferguson. Let's see who else. Mel Brooks as the banker. That's probably one of the most iconic ones of the whole movie, because even his part was used in the trailer, where he says, "If you were my kids, I'd punish you," and Stymie says in return, "If we were your kids, we would punish ourselves." And yeah, this was a movie that there's no bad language in it, but there's a lot of rude comments and suggestions made, like this, and plus there's some things in this movie that you couldn't do today. You could get by with it in 1994, but you couldn't get by with it today. Example: the kids, when Alfalfa and Spanky go into the when they're being chased by the bullies, they're going into the ballet recital, and they enter into the costume room and come out as ballerinas. I don't think you could pull that off today, especially in today's society and what with children and things like that. Back then, it wasn't looked at like that with a perverted mind. It was looked at as a joke, obviously for comedy and to escape bullies, and Alfalfa running around in his underwear. Things like that I don't think you could get by with today. But obviously, it's not politically correct. Nor should it be. You crazy people. It should never be politically correct. This movie is perfect the way it is. Matter of fact, a lot of people who are my age, they're showing their kids this movie and say, hey, this is what we grew up with, and it's a great movie, and we really enjoyed it. And I would encourage everyone to check out the YouTube video. If you just YouTube video, and you get to see what the cast looks like now, and most of them are doing normal lives. Some of them stayed in acting, and they've been in a lot of things. As a matter of fact, the actor who played Alfalfa, he was probably one of the more famous of the child stars in this film, as well as the kid that played Waldo. The kid that played Waldo is still working today. He's a commentator for a TV show. He has a talk show, I think, something like that. I'm not sure. I don't watch him. I know he's still working, still very famous. But what I was mentioning about Alfalfa, the kid that played him, he went on to go star in Disney's The Big Green, which came out, I think, either the next year or 2 years later, and he played a similar type of character. He wasn't necessarily romantic, but he was one of the more favorite of the Big Green soccer players. The Little Rascals from 1994. Another piece of trivia. A lot of people forget this, that it was produced by Amblin Entertainment. Steven Spielberg's name is not on it, but his company name is. And it just falls into line with what Amblin was putting out in the 90s, and it was just a fun movie. Even though it's based on the Our Gang serials and films that were being made. Unfortunately, there was a downside to this movie in terms of the original Our Gang members. A lot of them, around that time that this movie was getting made, a lot of them were dying off, or they were being murdered. There was a big murder case going on at that time around the Our Gang, the original Our Gang cast. Yeah, there was some pretty messed up things going on. But yeah, tonight's movie was The Little Rascals. It was definitely a child favorite of mine. Watched it quite a bit. We wore the videotape out when we bought it brand new when it came out. Yeah, and we wore that tape out to where it started having audio problems. So yeah. But yeah, tonight's movie was The Little Rascals. Next movie, I'm thinking of just closing out the whole childhood favorites. We're going to do one more, and I've already picked that out. So stay tuned for that. But from me to you, see you later.